Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ops Oops Origami. It is, January 30th, 2022, and we have multiple people joining us today. We got Chris. You say hi?
Hi.
Could you be any creepier?
Yes. Hold on.
Rick, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hola. Welcome to Antigua.
It's a little racist, but okay. Brendan and Shauna.
Hello.
How's it going?
Shauna has joined us before. Brendan is a brand new IT neophyte. That should be interesting.
To say the
Yes,
least.
indeed.
From what I've heard, he's doing a spectacular job, and the company likes his efforts. So
That's good to hear.
yeah.
Seems that way so far.
Not as dumb as you look.
Oh yeah, yes.
Oh, probably
Yeah.
still am.
All right. So,
Shauna, you've done something new with your hair?
Huh?
yeah.
You've done something new with your hair? Or it just
did.
looks like it on video? It's
I
definitely a
dyed it
different
and I-
color.
Dyed it? Yes. Thank you
Yeah.
for noticing. The rest of it's
Is it-
just
Yes.
back here. But
Purple.
purple.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
I was going for maroon, but it looks way more purple on the camera.
That's all right. Maybe after you wash it once or twice, it'll settle down to purple. Wow.
Don't think it'll ever get to purple.
Thanks. Rick.
Well, whatever. Yeah. I
So-
believe in you.
I appreciate that. Somebody needs to.
Right on. I guess, there's Brian who believes in you. And that's probably going to have to be good enough on this one, Shauna.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate the support.
It's what we're here for. So, Brendan, how long have you been working in IT?
Not even a month yet.
4 weeks.
Okay.
I started on the 4th of January.
All right.
So
So let's I'm gonna rapid fire some questions at you. What got you into it?
steady job compared to the construction industry, which I had been doing.
Sure. Why
That's
IT?
good.
And
It's not seasonal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Not working in the cold.
It's really nice not working in the cold and not worrying about when it snows now. So, and
So-
to the IT question, Chris, it was due to the fact that I had been looking at changing jobs over, and this one kind of just literally appeared in front of my face one day when I was scrolling Facebook for job applications, and it was in town, really close to my own house. And then there was a couple positions talked to Shauna about that she thought I'd be capable of doing for an entry level position.
Mhm.
So I put an application in, and I got called back the same day.
Cool.
Nice.
Yep.
Now, did you do any schooling beforehand?
No,
No schooling, no certs? Well, me neither. Don't feel bad.
no,
Me
no
neither.
school, for IT or anything like that. No certifications
Yeah.
for it. I spent the last
Not yet.
decade in construction, so I mean, I never honestly thought I was going to change industries.
Yeah.
You said not yet.
Oh yeah, not yet. That's true.
Yeah, I mean-
Company I work for.
Well,
is-
I mean,
There's a couple
seriously,
of
I mean, if you end
certifications
up really
that are
liking
actually-
IT, oh,
I'm sorry, Brian.
go ahead, Rich. If you end up really liking IT, I mean, if there ends up being something that jumps out and is just your thing, it definitely may be worth it to pursue an actual degree course in that, or even if it's just go to not ITT, but go to WCTC and get something, so that, I mean, that will definitely help your career. I mean, I'm sure mine has been
I was about
held
to say, I was
back.
like, I thought we talked about ITT last time.
Yeah, I know it. I don't know why that popped out of my mouth.
Yeah, they've kind of been defunct for a while now. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think they exist, do they?
Nice.
Nope, they sure don't. But I was going to say that, an A+ certification still has a little bit of weight to it, as does like a Network Plus and a Security Plus. The CompTIA ones, they're not bad to have. I don't think it's a waste of time to get them.
No.
Unfortunately, now they're 2 year. You have to renew them. Not like
But
when I got mine.
yeah, they're not worthless, but at the same time, I wouldn't spend a bunch of money on a school to
new.
to prepare me for those tests,
I
because
wouldn't
those
go
are
to a
like
boot
super
camp
entry
doing an A+.
level.
Right.
Yeah, that's stuff after you've been doing this for a little while, you should be able to study and get it
Yeah.
without having to pay somebody a bunch of money.
6 months to a year,
Okay.
and then grab yourself a book, like a test prep book, and then 6 months later take your test. It will be useful for you at least in your first couple, 3-4 years, as just a sign like, hey, I'm not a complete idiot, right? Like I do know something about this, and it's an easy way to communicate that.
Okay.
Well, it also shows people that you're able to stick something out and actually prove, right? You went through the effort of getting that cert, whether or not that you're going to use it or not. It shows effort and success. So a lot of employers like that. They like it a lot, and it's really not rocket science, not anymore.
Yeah. And
I mean,
as you go,
it's a 2-part thing now, and like the A plus is a 2-part thing, and it changes, and there's whatever, but it's not rocket. If you've been doing this for a couple of years, you can write these tests. It's not hard.
right.
Okay.
And as you go on, like whether or not you want to get additional certifications, to any decent, I think any hiring manager that is at all technical, they look at a cert as like, okay, this person has some level of capability. Whether they've got everything that theoretically the cert would report that they should is, not guaranteed, right? Like there's tons of cert boot camps where you're trained to the test, and they just give you enough. Honestly, they just run you through a bunch of questions and tell you what the right answers are, and hope that you memorize enough to pass them, right? So like that has been the case for years, and it will continue to be the case. Like the companies that provide the tests are constantly in a battle to kind of circumvent that, but at the end of the day, there's only so many questions that they can have. And once somebody has them, there's a ton of people out there that'll just like, hey, I got a new question set. I'll make my $5 for turning them into the boot camps. But that being said, if you show up with like 3 or 4 certs on your resume, no employer is going to say, oh, that guy clearly doesn't know what he's talking about, right? Like it's a way to signal things. And the more complex the cert, I think, the more likely it is that gets you some attention. I have an Oracle DBA cert. I never do database or DBA work, right? But it is a good indication to an employer like, hey, I can actually stick things out for a process that like takes, like a year of study and prep to pass tests, even if you know what you're doing.
Okay. I know when I got hired to the company, in my interview, actually, they had already brought up tuition reimbursement, and they wanted to send me into schools to get a degree or certifications for everything. And they also asked right off the bat what my plan was with them and where I wanted to go, so that they could direct me in the courses and the options to go in after that to grow in the company itself.
Sure.
So,
I mean, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Companies.
I definitely want to get more accustomed to this field first, being only like 4 weeks into it.
Sure.
Wrap my head around all this stuff, so I don't hear of this cable and I'm still like, I don't know which cable that one is.
Don't worry, that stuff will come. If you can work successfully in construction, the amount of tools that you have to understand in construction is actually a lot. I would actually equate it now to what entry level IT is. Like it's just a different set of tools that you got to get used to.
Yeah, I'm trying to learn now, because for help desk, for what I'm doing is to troubleshoot with them. So I've got a couple of machines that I'm trying to work, and I got to figure that part out first, memorize those components, and then once I got that done, then I get to jump to another system right away. So it's been fun so far, though.
Cool.
Use that girl that's sitting to the left of you as a resource. She's pretty smart. She knows some stuff, and there's 3 other guys on this very call that send us a message.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
I mean, if you want the long-winded answer, ask me.
That's correct.
Yeah. He might never even get to the answer, but he'll talk for a couple hours.
Oh, good. At least I can use up some time.
Yeah.
No, I mean Sean has experienced my my educational milieu, whatever. And I teach things. Sometimes it takes a little bit to get there. I like to explain things completely, I'll say.
Yeah, you do.
Nothing wrong with being thorough.
The very first
Right.
time I saw you write a proposal and a statement of work back in the old days for a company prior. Remember what I told you? I was like, Chris,
hmm
that was awesome.
Uh,
But I don't think it wasn't necessary for our audience, but
Right.
for where you came from, it was actually part of the deal. And
right.
so I don't think any of it was wasted. It was just a difference between big environments and small environments,
Right.
and less is more depending on who you're talking to. So,
Mm.
that's it. So what is the drink du jour tonight, gentlemen? Brian, what are you tilting over?
Scotch, Ardbeg 10.
Ooh, very nice. What about you, Mr.
Nice
Flat
cheap.
Chap?
I am, speaking of, no cap tonight. I was in a rush. I wanted to get something in my glass. I'm drinking Long Branch from Wild Turkey. It's a bourbon refined on oak and Texas mesquite.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, a lot smoother than a lot of bourbons, but still has a nice smoky texture to it. I'm really pleased. So,
Oh. Because I've been looking over at my at the shelves, trying to decide what I'm going to pour into a glass tonight. So
We do have a recommendation for you.
for
Agua?
me?
Energy drinks.
Oh, Monster. Mm.
Me? No, not this lightning bag.
Yep.
No, thank you.
that works for you.
For you
Jen.
too? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also drinking water from my discount liquor / horny goat brewing.
Yep.
Nice.
Water is essential.
There you go.
I worked from home today, so this is behind my monitor.
Okay, yeah.
Fair enough.
Got my 224th anniversary Marine Corps Ball cup
Excellent.
from a long time ago.
224 years of breaking shit. So
Well, I mean, it's really interesting that the Marine Corps' ball has lasted 224 years. Normally, you wouldn't want to get close to something like that, but
Knee slapper, Chris.
sorry, I mean, I couldn't resist. So, Brendan, how soon do you think / have they told you before you'll be taking calls?
Oh, I'm already taking calls.
Okay, excellent.
Yep. So
Trial
I started
by
that
fire.
week 2.
Okay.
Currently, I have 5 machines that I'm able to troubleshoot for the company. There's probably like 10 more that I got to go through the training courses on. And then once I get that wrapped up and under my belt, there's a second portion to our help desk for a completely another system that we also work with. And so then I'm going to start training on that again. Or not again, but to begin with. And basically start the training process over for a new system. So I'm able to troubleshoot for both sides of it.
Okay.
Train on it again for the very first time.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really good with words too on the phone.
That's okay.
That also will come with time.
Yes. And that's a skill I never acquired. I've never worked. Yes. I've never worked in a help desk. Dealing with real customers is never a thing I've really had to do. So
Customers are
Sounds
fun.
nice.
I covered the call
I
center this
believe you.
weekend, and we received a voicemail that I listened to that was from a non-technical person, and it was just an old man yelling, "I'm waiting," with no callback number. Great
that's
time.
not useful.
That actually provides great segue into I think what should be our topic for discussion tonight, which is end user horror stories.
Oh.
What's some of the worst you've heard and or experienced? So Brendan, 3 weeks in, without naming names, what's the most interesting or horrific thing that you've experienced so far?
So when you call into our help desk, it's usually general practice that you have the serial number for the machine that you have, so we can
Sure.
find out your location and what machine you have, the model exactly, and everything like that, so we know what we're working with. I had a user call in, didn't know the serial number of the machine, had a horrible connection over the phone, and they gave me an address that's not even in the system. And then he couldn't tell me what company he worked for.
Like, I don't care what the serial number is. I just want you to fix it.
Exactly. Try to talk him into like how he would understand what model it was or anything like that, so he can locate the serial number on the sticker of the machine. That didn't work. And so after about 5 to 10 minutes of this, he finally talked to somebody else, and then I was able to hear from the background of the call what company it was. So I pulled up service records of the company in general in the rough area that he was in, because I did get a city name. It just didn't have anything that he was telling me. Pulled that up and looked at service records and just find out what to do. And luckily it was something that I was able to, they had to talk to their help desk before they could come to us, so because they needed a PO number for it before we could send a tech to them. So thankfully it was able to be resolved that way. Otherwise it would have gotten more issued, but I would have just had to kind of reject his call at that point and let him know he had to have his manager call back.
Cool.
It was fun.
All right, Shauna, as the next most junior member on the call, give us a memorable one.
I always go back to the same one because I think it scarred me. Is back at a location where we all were a part of said business. And we dealt with, owners of businesses, which is fine and dandy, but there were a few in particular that liked to cause a ruckus. And I think I was within like my first year of being on that help desk, is this particular owner had called and yelled at a bunch of us that day. And he yelled at me so much it turned into personal attacks and made me cry. It was the one time my boss got on the phone and stood up for me. Was like, you will not talk to my employees that way, and went off, and I never had an issue with him again.
Oh, good.
So his name haunts me, and I'm just what a peach.
Yeah,
very mean.
Well, that is a very important job responsibility of a manager or a lead, is to stand up for their people and make sure they that they're not subject to things like that, because that's not part of the job. That is not expected.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I worked in healthcare IT for several years, and we had some doozies from like providers, like doctors and things. And they definitely thought their poo smelled like roses, and thought that entitled them to behave inappropriately to basically any staff member, which was certainly not true.
We had at just a short one at the company I'm at now, one of the people on my team was remoted into a machine and was like trying to walk this lady through something, and she wasn't getting it. And not realizing that when we're remoted in, we can like see her screen. She decided to message to one of her colleagues, God, the people on the help desk are so stupid. And she ended up getting reprimanded for that. Because like, sometimes they're just
print
all
screen.
You need to do is listen to what we're telling you. That's it. You're calling us for help. Let us help you without being mean about it.
There's definitely, so I've never had to deal with doctors, but my wife used to work for a healthcare facility, also doing IT. Yeah, it seems like they think I made it through medical school, so I know everything about everything, and I'm smarter than everybody I ever talked to. I can't possibly be wrong or have any gap in my knowledge. I don't know what it is, how they get this God complex.
I know somebody who was a nurse for many, many years, whose theory was that they actually were required to take a course called the God course, where they were taught that they were God. And her
That might do
opinion,
it.
Passed.
right? Well, her opinion was that there was only proctologists and podiatrists were exempt from that course, which makes sense given their specialties.
Yeah, they're pretty grounded, just based on the nature of their work.
Based on where they're putting their hands.
Yeah, feet
Yep.
and asses.
Yeah, the guy that did my back surgery, the neurosurgeon that did my back surgery years ago, he I would never want to hang out with the guy. Wouldn't want to go golfing with him. Wouldn't want to go drinking with him. But if I ever needed surgery again, I'd definitely ring him up. But the biggest god complex I had ever seen. And Wendy hated him, just hated him. But he pulled a tumor out of my spine, and I can walk now. So,
Well, I mean, there's a lot to be said for that.
yeah.
I don't know who this W2K person is, but that is hilarious.
Yeah, there's he's worked in healthcare situations. I know who it is. So
Do the rest of us know this person?
You haven't met him, Rick.
Okay.
Chris has.
Yeah. So early on in my career, I actually encountered a situation that has become like support desk legend. You know, I encountered someone who unironically referred to their CD-ROM drive as the cup holder.
Go on.
No.
In all seriousness, they're like,
It's not a car.
that's the cup holder. And like, I never encountered anybody.
The source of the meme.
Right. I was like, no way. I never encountered anybody that tried to insert more than 3 discs into a floppy drive. You know, the old, it says insert disc 4, but only 3 will fit. But I did meet people who had wedged 2 5 1/4 inch old school floppies into the same floppy drive. I'm like, it's not supposed to work that way.
Yeah.
Folded it up and put it in a smaller hole. Yeah.
Is that how it works, Richard?
Okay, then.
But yeah, I was blown away.
I've been fortunate enough to I haven't had one of those horror stories. I've had difficult people on the phone. And unfortunately, my personality is to go ahead and push buttons and until they get frustrated and hang up and call my boss. That's happened a couple of times. But in the place where we all were mutually imprisoned for a while, our boss at the time eventually forbade me from actually talking to people. So you don't answer the phone, don't offer to help, just sit down and just be that guy. So
understandable.
Sounded
yeah.
nice.
So,
Probably
but
the
I've been lucky enough to not. But I've had some people that wound up being, really good people to work with, do silly stuff, and I kind of gave them what for, and it worked out. It kind of depends on how you approach the situation. Whereas nowadays, you'll probably rarely meet the people that actually you talk to on the phone and help. Back when I was doing the help desk stuff, I worked in a big building with all of these people. If we were having trouble communicating on the phone, I'd hang up the phone and go see them at their desk and try to figure out what the problem was. So it's a lot different. So for Brendan and Shauna, it's a lot harder for you because you can't just hang up the phone and go to their desk and figure out what the problem is most of the time. So
definitely not.
A woman rearranged her desk one time and couldn't get her monitor to work. And I'm like, you just rearranged your desk? Is the monitor plugged in? And she got mad, snapped at me.
Of course it is. I'm not stupid.
Which is
wait a second.
What she said. And I went to her office, reached around and pushed the cable in a little bit more, and the monitor came on, and it was one of these great big Sony, 21-inch basketball-shaped monitors. And it boomed, the lights dimmed in the room, and the monitor came on, and she was embarrassed. And I kind of giggled at her and said, you got to make sure the cable's plugged all the way in. And that was the end of that. right? So that's kind of been my experience, and I suppose I've been lucky about that.
I mean,
Yeah.
in my past, like honestly, like the first 6 months where where I wasn't really sure how to deal with and interact with people all the time, that has been my experience as well. Like as long as you're dealing with it with an appropriate amount of humor and you understand that like they aren't experts, they're just frustrated. Once you bring that to the table, I found that most end users are pretty reasonable. There's always a gem out there. I've actually had more issues with uppity people on the other end, vendors that you need to talk to that just cannot be convinced that they could possibly be wrong.
Vendors are a problem sometimes. Yep.
Yep.
Luckily, Brendan, there will be a long time before you ever have to deal with vendors.
That's
Yeah,
that second
probably.
system that I get to train on.
Probably 5 or 10 years before you have to really start working.
Oh yeah, you'll probably have that. The actual people that make the software that you need to specialize in.
Yeah.
So, but it won't be like deep level interactions with them.
Yeah.
You probably won't be on the phone with their engineering departments fighting over whether their code is broken.
Yeah.
Or, no, it's NetApp's
and with
fault.
Cisco
No,
and with Dell or HP and the people that made the damn cables and like everything. It can get really ridiculous sometimes.
Now, fs.com with the programmers, so you can make your own damn cables.
Yep. Told you. Lifesaver, huh?
Best thing since sliced bread right there, man. That's awesome. Yep. Anyway, so
I haven't had any like directly. Oh, you got some Eagle Rare?
Yeah, I did a little bit of Eagle Rare.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So the closest I have to a customer horror story would be, man, it was only a couple of weeks after I had started at our previous mutual place of employment. So we're talking like 15 years ago. There was one particular owner that everybody in the help desk dreaded because he would bark and holler and not quite abusive, but was very strong-willed. Well, so I had only been there a couple of weeks, and I had to fly out to his store to check on network issues because I was a network engineer. Well, it turns out some of his equipment was set up wrong. This was back when like the receipt printer and everything were all serial. So it was really easy to have things messed up. And so it was all just stuff wasn't set up right. It was minor issues, got straightened out. But the funniest thing is like everyone in the help desk just dreaded ever getting a call from him just because he was very overbearing on the phone. Get there, he is a giant teddy bear. Nicest guy, totally different than how he is on the phone. So when you're face to face with somebody, a lot of people that are abrasive and abusive, they turn that off because they know they're only 18 inches away from getting a pop in the nose if they get really stupid. I mean, seriously, I mean, people are different online when it's kind of anonymous interactions.
Yep. And over the
or
phone,
even talking to a help desk. I don't know why that phone makes them think that they're talking to a subhuman, somebody that's below them, but for some reason it happens.
Even people in a different room. And so I've got a relatable story, but it's not IT. So back in my world before I was in IT, when I was a truck driver, delivering brand new furniture to some furniture store in Crystal Lake, Illinois. And I had to come in on a one-way street, which meant I'd have to, like, if you know what blindside backing is, when you back up, when you have to articulate the truck to the passenger side, once the truck articulates, you can't see out of the passenger mirror because all you're looking at is your trailer. So, and that's a very dangerous situation to be backing up in. And they said, well, you got to back up this alley and all that, but it's a one-way street. How the hell am I supposed to do that? And they're like, well, you're shit out of luck, aren't you?
Figure it out.
And I kind of laughed, and they were yelling up from this slide down in the basement. So you take the furniture out the truck and put it on this slide, and it slides down to the basement, and two great big guys catch it, and they go put it away. And they were yelling up, and they were harassing me because every truck driver that's ever been in there has this same question, and they block the street off, and he comes down the wrong way, and they get backed in there, whatever. And they thought they were having fun with me, and they were harassing me and said, well, you're kind of shit out of luck. I'm like, no, not me, because I'm going to take your stuff down the street and sell it to your competitor for half the price, so as long as it covers the shipping. And I started to walk away. And those guys come flying up out of the basement. No, we're just playing. We got you. They blocked off the street, got me backed into the place, folded up all my furniture blankets, all that kind of stuff. They were like, new. So, yeah, now at that point, though, I could go back to that store anytime, and I knew what to do, and they were always nice. So, but I'm like, no, this isn't going to bother me for 10 seconds because I'll go down the street and sell it to your competitor. I don't have a problem with that. So that's kind of the same situation you're in, Brian. You went there and face-to-face, and you probably told them to calm down, knowing you.
Maybe. Yeah. I remember it was so long ago. Stuff like that doesn't...
Michael Cudahy asked me one time if I thought he was made of money, and I laughed at him. I mean, because you kind of are made of money, Mike.
Yeah, you probably poop diamonds. That's not... I mean, diamonds that smell like kielbasa, but that's not the point.
I mean, if he wasn't made of money, he was made of whatever it is that makes the money.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
No, I don't think you're made of money, but I'm pretty sure if I slice a chunk off of you, that will make money.
That will make me money, yes.
Yeah.
What a lovely man that one was.
Mike?
He had a pet corgi named Corgi, and I just, to this day, can't get over it. I haven't seen him in, 15 years or whatever.
He's about, I think he's he's pushing 100 years old. So I don't even think he'd recognize us at all, Shauna.
No, probably not. Which is fine.
Let's see what Michael is out to these days.
Not too much. Golfing and boating, I don't know.
He is 97.
Pretty close.
I haven't actually talked to him since his 90th birthday. That was the last time I talked to him.
Wow.
His
Wikipedia page is thin.
It's thin.
Well, he's not really a Wikipedia type personality. No. So,
but I did post on LinkedIn today his 10 rules for business success. So look me up on LinkedIn and you'll see his 10. One of my favorites is meetings are the curse of American business.
All right. Yeah, that's probably true.
One of the ongoing jokes at my company is, oh, there goes QA off to another meeting. I'm like, you guys say that like I'm enjoying spending all of my time talking with all of these people. Like, I have stuff to do.
Yep.
Well, optimize those interactions. To managers, meetings are work. That is their job. So there will be lots of meetings if managers run the show. I mean, they should run the show, but you can kind of get out of whack where there are so many meetings where the people that actually have to do the work don't have time to do the work, Richard.
I was just going to add up the meetings that I had last week.
Yeah. How many hours of a day are you in meetings? 11?
11?
It's pretty ridiculous.
I do know that we're spending the day together on Wednesday, and he does have to take a chunk out of the middle of his day for a meeting. So
there is a component of meetings that is useful, right? In some ways, it in a kind of a twisted way, it's actually a way to do work sharing, because communication frequently will happen much more efficiently in a meeting than it will, say, via some long email interchange, perhaps without the right parties involved. Like when you have those scenarios, you're just wasting time. You'd be better off just having a short meeting. But when you have formalized meeting structures that occur on whatever regular basis, unless there is actually that level of content that needs to be covered on a regular basis, like you can end up wasting a lot of time. Just like, hey, you brought 6 C-level executives into a weekly meeting, and their time is really expensive. If that weekly meeting takes 2 hours, but they cover 30 minutes of actual content, you've wasted a lot of money.
Yep. I had 19 hours of scheduled on the calendar meetings last week. Now that doesn't include the ad hoc calls
Random
that I had to
one,
get
yeah.
on, whatever.
Right.
Well, and
7 o'clock last night. 7 o'clock last night.
yeah, and then think about meetings that you and I have had with the rare 2-letter government agency where it's solid 8 hours of 30 people on a call just to get 5 minutes worth of information. Now, out of those 30 people on the call, probably 3/4 of them are probably consultants that make a hell of a lot more money than me. So that was like, it was probably $10,000 an hour of us just sitting there, all twiddling our thumbs.
Had a conversation in 25 minutes to resolve whatever issue we were trying to resolve.
Right.
Yeah, this one it was like 5 or 6 hours before anybody figured out where NAT was taking place. Remember that call?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had more than one of those, so I don't remember which one you're talking about, but I do remember that call. So
yeah, it's a place that has multiple firewalls deep, and they weren't sure which firewall NAT was taking place on, and it happened to be important based on. So it was them tracking. Yeah, it was them tracking down the dude that happened to manage that firewall, which took several hours of an obscene number of people on the call.
We caught up with them at the end of his day. Well, I'm usually done, so yeah, I'll tackle this first thing tomorrow morning.
Like, dude,
really?
I mean, when you mentioned consultants,
and he was a contractor for the 2-letter government agency. Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, and now we're getting into bed with 3-letter government agency.
Oh, those are fun.
Yeah.
I mean, enjoy that.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you talk about consultants and contractors, just like lawyers, the worst of them are willing to bill you way more than they should for just sitting. Like, oh, you want to talk to me? Great. Oh, you don't actually need me here? You know what? I'm going to still hang on the call, and I'm going to bill
until you tell me to get off.
Right.
See, I can't. I need to be productive, even if I'm like on a call. If it's one that I sort of need to be paying attention or just need to be there just in case they need me, I'll be doing other stuff for the same customer on the side.
Right.
You've seen what I do when I'm on meetings because you've been in the office with me on meetings. Well, I've done that a couple of times.
Called out.
But yeah, you hit the mute button and you go to work doing other stuff, and you kind of try to stay tuned in.
Yeah, listen for your name.
Was that me? Was that question to me? I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question? So,
yeah. If you have that said a lot in meetings, it means your meetings are ineffective. Right?
Oh yeah.
Although if you find that everybody's
I love my company,
and I
love the job, and I don't want to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be asked to leave anytime.
10 out of 10 acting.
What's that?
10 out of 10 acting.
Thank you, Shauna.
Yeah.
You know what? I think we're all happy to have employment. Let's just stick with that.
That's very true.
I would agree.
Right? Like,
I mean,
you may not always like who you're working for, where you're working for, but at the end of the day, I think everybody's happy to get a paycheck.
Oh God, I'm so deep in consulting, I don't even know who I'm working for half the time. Right now, I'm for a new customer I just on board with. I'm a third party of a third party of a third party as a consultant.
Really?
So they hired somebody to do the job. They farmed it out to a third party who farmed it out to a third party who farmed it out to my company.
God, I don't want to see the bill to the customer. Holy
Oh
God.
God, it's probably obscene, but it's government tangential. So they're getting probably state and federal dollars. So they don't give a shit.
Yeah. Wow.
Especially for this particular project. So it is what it is.
Your tax dollars at work.
Not my tax dollars. I don't live in that state. Well, yeah, it's still federal dollars. But I will. I'm still spinning my wheels waiting for access for the things that I need to be able to do my job. So I'm trying to do as little as possible. So I'm doing all the things I can do without actually having access to the systems I need access to. But trying to be as ginger with those hours as possible. So
yeah, because hours aren't infinite.
No. Well, I think for this customer they probably are, but I'm not just going to sit there and soak up hours. I just can't do it. It's just not.
Chris and I know what that's like. No, we're not going to bill because we can bill. No.
Yeah, I've had that conversation with billing departments. Like, I'm sorry. Like, no, the customer shouldn't have to pay for that. Well, but no. Like, let's have some decency and honesty in the professional world and in the billing world. The customer trusts you to be conscientious with their money. And if you're not, they're going to find somebody else at some point.
We were taught and told, Chris and I were told to bill the customer for the time it takes to build a customer.
Oh, well, you actually should.
I mean, so
I get it for some timekeeping and all.
Well, you're talking like minutes, though.
Yeah,
you're talking like maybe 20 minutes a week for a customer, where there's like a lot of back and forth, like little time.
No, that wasn't their intent. Their intent was that if you were taking
to fluff numbers, see, I don't really.
If you thought about them in the middle of your morning constitutional, you needed to bill for that time.
That makes me feel weird because I poop a lot. And I think about the customers a lot. So,
well, thank God that this company is no longer.
Sometimes at the same time, which is even weirder.
Maybe they should have taken that college ethics class to know when to properly bill.
Yeah,
I've taken that college ethics class, and it doesn't really cover those scenarios. Like that's one of those. It's one of those gray areas, right?
No, they still, believe it or not, they still want you to do that essay on "Am I my brother's keeper?" So I'm not going to go back and finish that damn degree track until I don't have to do that stupid class anymore.
Fun fact: Dad stopped going.
He probably had a good reason.
The instructor who didn't care what content was, as long as it was written in the proper AP whatever format. I'm like, but you're teaching me content. You don't. Who cares what the delivery is?
Can you tell me what class that is? Because I will go just to troll that person. Because I like to write.
She will win. Trust me.
And like,
it was a brutal battle.
I've gone to the mat with people about AP style, and I have lost, but I have also won. Like it depends. And obviously, when they're the one grading the papers, they've ultimately got the power. Unless, of course, you don't care.
Well,
so,
that's
true.
True.
Like, I've got $250. I'll go sign up for a course at WCTC just for the fun of sitting in her class and be like, so, yeah, I know that's the AP style, but let's be honest. Why does this style exist? It's to save characters on print press. Is that the world we live in anymore? No. Then why does this style make sense?
That's exactly right.
Because that's what that teacher had to do in school.
That's exactly right. You're 100% right about that, Brian. And I actually had a psychology
and that's
teacher.
Why I didn't go to college.
Well, Sean and I had a psychology teacher where we never actually opened the book that he insisted that we had to buy.
That was annoying. It was expensive.
Yeah, it wasn't a cheap book.
Oh, yeah. I bet he wrote it, and I bet there was a new copy or a new version every year that you had to buy, so you couldn't even buy a used one.
Right. I don't remember about with that, but the psychology class that I that I
I
actually.
will take college. I will take college seriously when they start doing away with bullshit like that.
Yep, absolutely.
I will be
But the
right back. I
psychology
have a
teacher
case.
that I had the year prior, the very first thing he said in class is, "I'm going to push you and get you into places that are uncomfortable for you." And I'm like, "What's that got to do with teaching me psychology?" And he wanted us to go someplace we'd never been before. I'm like, "Where in this book of psychology does it say I have to go?" And he's like, "Well, go to a mosque." I'm like, "I've been to a mosque." Right? He did go to here,
Yeah.
go to here. And I'm like, "I'm 50 something years old. I've been to all these places.
I've been to all these
I'm not
places.
22."
I'm not a kid.
I'm older than you.
He was. Was that the same one that we took together?
That was the one where we find that I didn't go to that. I dropped out of that class and decided to go the next year. And we went with you to that one fella who the entire semester, psychology for WCTC for this particular instructor was how to be an expert witness.
Yes.
Was his main focus. If you're going to be an expert witness, you need to know these things. And then he talked a lot about alcoholism. That was astounding to me, that some of his ideas. He said a person could be dry for 30 years, and if they have one drink, their body will revert to the state it was in when they had their last drink. And I'm like,
A little bit of a stretch, but
physiology doesn't quite work that way, but
maybe mentally, I see where he was coming from. But
yeah. But he was trying to say that, if your liver was bad and you took 30 years to get it going and everything was good, and then you had another drink, it's going to revert right to being bad.
Yeah, he said your liver would immediately just deteriorate.
Sounds like a fun guy.
Isn't quite.
He actually was kind of a fun class because we
passed.
No homework and whatever. You just had to kind of half-ass pay attention to what he had to say and kind of take note. And that's what Shauna was for. So
okay.
I totally half-assed my psych class too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I got you through college.
There's only a couple of classes that I need to do to finish up that degree. I mean, the ethics class, and because I just have a fundamental aversion to
stupidity.
Yes, and doing things just for the sake of doing things, like
I'm too old for that bullshit.
Right,
I got better things to do. I have things to do that will earn me money.
Right, and I'm like, who cares how I give it to you? Read what I wrote, right, and tell me if I understand the material. And then when I have to take a writing class, then we'll figure out my writing issue.
Effective communication is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Effective communication almost never takes place in AP style.
Right. That was one of the things that she said. Well, when you get out in the business world, you're going to have to know how to write. And I'm like, I've been in the business for 30-something years, and I've never had to cite my sources, and I've never had to put anything to my employer in AP format. Sorry. So, yeah, and then I got up and left.
Well,
no, then he got up and stormed out, and I said, he's my ride. I think I need to go now. I'll see you next week. And then I came back, got through the class, and she failed me on my last day.
Flip your camera, Chris, so we can actually read that. I mean, it's understanding symbolic logic, because I can read backwards, but most people... No, mirror your camera. I didn't realize you were backwards. I like to have mine proper. I don't know why. I don't know why the default is reversed. There you go.
Does this look like my left hand?
It's on your left side.
Well, I don't
it's
know.
On his right side. It's on our left side.
Yes.
But he's he's mirrored.
Am I good?
This is my right hand. This is my left hand.
Am I good? Can you read this? Okay.
So I just see the Nutter Butters again.
Yeah. Well, it's Nutter Butters, but you're mirror imaged.
So I'm backwards too. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how to change that.
Oh.
How the hell do I change that?
So, Chris, what is this book that you're holding?
Go to the settings video, and you can mirror or unmirror your camera.
Is Chris lagging for anyone else, or is that just my internet?
He's got no audio.
Okay.
No, nothing, Chris. Do I have
Chris,
audio?
you got no audio.
Yeah, it's fine.
Am I fine?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, everybody's fine but Chris.
That's what I say. I was like, I just paid the internet bill, so I don't know if it's starting to poop out on me or what.
They are the best.
There you go.
Yay.
We have
Yellow.
audio again.
Okay. So now that you can hear me,
Yes.
instead of jaw jacking, going, why do they ignore me? All right. This is the introductory level course book for symbolic logic at UW Milwaukee. It's this thick. When you take the advanced level course of symbolic logic, this is the book. It's this thick. Also, this is the edition that this is like the first edition, and this is like the fourth edition or something like that.
Yeah.
So, interestingly enough, you buy the newer, more up-to-date book for the entry-level course, but for the advanced level course, you get the older, thinner, more stripped-down version. I always thought that was interesting.
Less typos
Something
in the
like that.
advanced. So they didn't need reprints.
Actually, do those subjects, they don't change that much.
No.
The material really doesn't change that much. Stuff
Yeah,
it's
symbolic
pretty-
logic that hasn't changed in 70 years.
It's like algebra. It's been algebra for how long we've known about algebra, when the Greek dudes were coming up with
I mean,
that crap. So
They do come up with different ways to teach those things, right? Like
well,
Yeah, but in the
new
book,
math. Yeah. But no, the latest edition of that symbolic logic book was 93. So,
yeah.
definitely not a class where you're buying the latest copy every year.
Yeah, so almost 30 years ago, and it hasn't changed. Not significantly.
Anyway, that was my story that I wanted to share.
and you're sticking to it, by God.
I'm surprised you could find that book.
I know right where it is.
Are you trying to say that he's cluttered, or
No, he's just a pack rat like I am.
Can relate.
You never know when you're going to need something again, and well,
You know, I've pulled that book out at least 3 times in the 25 years it's been since I bought it, for purposes other than to show people that I have it.
90s being 30 years ago? Yeah, right.
I know. It pained me to utter that sentence.
Uh-huh.
If you really want to have pain, we're as far away from the 90s as the 90s were from the 70s.
I mean,
We're
further
far
even.
away from the 90s than the 70s were for the 90s.
Late
The
90s.
60s, yeah.
Whatever.
Well, let's pick a year.
Yeah.
Making you feel old.
Shush.
None.
It was more against
I
Ryan and
was
Rick
already feeling my
and
age.
Chris
Thanks.
than anybody watching
Yeah.
this.
All right.
Just remember, we are closer to our 30th birthday. We're getting there. Get ready for that party.
What are you doing for your
Uh,
30th?
Okay. Well, we have a few years to plan it, but probably napping.
Overzealous
you're-
for that.
You're 26 coming up this year, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I know what's going to happen this year.
Not
Going on
much.
your own insurance?
We're gonna go.
Yeah,
Lower
Camping?
insurance rates.
yeah, I'm getting
Yeah.
a raise.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah, I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to be on my
She's
own.
gonna pay for her own
which
insurance, her own
I'm not
cell, her
excited
own
about.
car insurance, her own motorcycle insurance. She's paying for all that herself this year.
I pay my own car insurance.
She wasn't already?
The motorcycle is still on Dad's.
Okay.
Wait, you've been covering her motorcycle insurance?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
You
my
know what?
phone bill. And my health insurance.
That
I mean,
cell
I'm
phone bill
trying to get
is
somebody to
close
cover my cell
very
phone bill.
soon.
Hey, Rick, do you want to pick up my cell phone bill?
No, but thanks for asking.
Yeah, I cover both my kids too.
So
Through T-Mobile, it's so cheap, and they have the most amazing veterans discount. So
they do. It's $50 a month or $55 a month per line. So it's actually
Well, yeah, less than that. Yeah, if you start ramping up.
it is pretty good. But
Yeah.
although I'm going to get away from T-Mobile because the coverage in T-Mobile is just sour. It's awful. And I thought that the merger with Sprint was going to help, and it's just not. Not
Yeah,
yet.
well,
It might be good in another 5 years, but I'm tired of.
they're in the middle of refarming everything. It'll be fine.
It will eventually.
Yeah.
But then I'll get to come back to T-Mobile and get some kind of welcome back discount and the military discount, and everybody plays these games. So
Oh, with T-Mobile for like 15 years now. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Well,
Verizon has some really good pricing, really good aggressive pricing that's in the same ballpark as T-Mobile with the discounts.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
For what?
Verizon, though.
Verizon.
I mean,
I have Verizon. I like it.
It could be worse. It could be AT&T.
Yeah, Jenny's got AT&T, and it just whatever. Her phone's finally paid off.
She's not
Shauna's
on your
phone
plan?
is paid off.
You don't have your wife on your plan?
No,
I
not
didn't
yet.
know that. Yay.
Oh, jeez.
So yeah, Shauna, you're about to get kicked off. I mean, you and Brendan need to
You
talk.
know, as soon as this marriage thing happened, I was like, shit, here goes all of my my financial support. But hey, while we have you guys not lagged, my internet is cutting out on me, and you guys keep freezing and jumbling, and then I'm getting an error that my connection isn't good. So,
Well, that's weird because you've been fine the whole time.
You've been fine.
Really?
The whole time. Yeah.
You guys all of you keep freezing and stopping,
And that's not
then
just Brendan.
the picture moves very fast.
Yeah.
Oh.
And there goes.
Uh-huh.
So we are going to go ahead and hop off, but I will continue watching, and I hope you all have
Okay.
a wonderful evening.
Have a good evening.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you very
Is
much.
it because I said
Like
you
and
were gonna start paying your
subscribe.
own bills?
Hey, and you know what? Share with your coworkers.
Yes.
There we go.
We take
And laugh at
questions.
you too.
I missed what Brian said. Damn it.
I missed everything. You guys both froze.
He said
Yeah.
like and subscribe,
Oh,
and I said share with your coworkers.
there you go.
So, but no, thanks for coming on, and we'll absolutely want to check in with you again because it's been a long time since any of us have started out in IT. I'll be interested to see how you
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah, I'm super interested. Yeah, you guys got to
Yeah.
come back next week and just you got to give us, Brendan. You have to give us weekly updates.
Well,
And
see,
do know
that's the
we're
thing,
all rooting for you.
We are.
Truly, we are all rooting for you. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm pretty guys inviting me to be on here.
Yeah,
It's
thanks.
been fun.
You should be.
Not you, Rick. Everybody but you. Then how's that? Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Chris.
It's love.
Love you guys. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Love you guys.
Bye.
See? Bye.
Oh, that was fun. New kids starting out in the field.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Well,
not
sorry,
being-
guys.
On for a little minute.
yeah.
He's a great guy.
What, 5 years for Shauna?
Yeah. I think
At least?
so. Longer.
More-
Well, actually, because she started as an intern while she was still in high school.
Yeah, like she was 18. She was 18.
17.
17.
17 when she started at ooh, I almost said it. When she became an intern, she was an intern for a different department. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a few months, and then she moved into ours.
Yeah. And yeah, so that puts her at like 9 years. That's a fair amount of season.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And I'm proud of her for the track that she's taken, right? So she's kind of going in different directions. She's not going into administration, system administration or engineering or any of that. She's kind of heading down the management path, which works for her.
Well, and yeah, different people have different abilities and skills, and she's doing what makes sense to her and what interests her, and that's fine. But
doesn't
she
have
still
a
gets
passion for the
to,
technology. So
yeah,
it's
and that's
and-
fine. Not
and
everybody
then-
does.
Yep.
But she's still leveraging the combined knowledge of all the people around her that kind of got her into the field in the first place.
Yep.
So, that's
Well,
perfect.
the thing about that is that she's going to learn, if she doesn't know it already, and I think to a certain degree she knows a lot of what is bullshit and what isn't. Right. So, and that will serve her very well going forward.
Yeah,
Right.
having a highly tuned BS detector is very important. Well, practically any job you're in.
Yeah. No, like if you can refine your BS detector, bring your street smarts to the table. That's super useful in a job. If
I'll be
you're
right back.
naive.
I gotta go get something to show you. I got a belated birthday present, so let me get that.
Excellent. Well, we'll see him back soon.
Yep.
So what else is new?
Well,
Oh,
well,
go
I
ahead.
mean, going back to the bullshit detector, that's a highly underrated skill.
Yeah.
So, a friend of mine, Mike, that you've met, is a grumpier old man. He has a very particular set of skills. One of them is he can smell bullshit from a mile away.
Yeah. I mean, and not everybody develops it.
No, definitely not.
Or they develop it, but they develop it with like the strangest blind spots. Like you can smell it from like everybody except for your direct supervisor. Like, really?
Yeah.
They're gonna blow smoke and you can't tell. Like, that's rough. It's a rough skill set.
It is.
But yeah, that refined bullshit detector is right up there with the ability to handle, gracefully handle angry end users, right? Like, how do you deal with angry end users? That's a soft skill that is wildly underrated. The ability to, as you get into like engineering fields, the ability to go into meetings and gather voice of customer without passing judgment, right? Like, if you're there for voice of customer gathering, your job is not to pass judgment on what they want to do. It's to gather what they say they need, right? And then maybe later you come back and tell them that their idea is awful, but maybe not.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, to be able to identify a bad idea, you need to know what both bad ideas and good ideas look like.
Sure. Well, and you also have to be able to, I think, filter out poor communication from the idea itself. Like, maybe their ideas are or their concept of something is bad, but the core of the idea is still good, right? Like, hey, we want to make things easier for our end users. That's a good idea, right? And we'd like to do that by making sure their computers don't turn on. That's probably a bad idea, right? Like,
Old move.
That's like the security department saying,
right,
we're going to secure the environment by not letting anybody log into the environment.
right.
Effective,
That's actually a valid plan, but
it's most secure
run
when
you out
it's
of
turned
business.
off and unplugged.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is true,
in
and
case
that's where pragmatism comes into play.
Right.
What is the most secure you can be, or what you need to be able to do your job? Well, they need to be able to do their job. How can we let them do their job and still be as secure as possible, given the access needs?
Yes, you don't broadcast your Wi-Fi. That'll make you secure right there.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, that is a thing you could do to improve your security.
Not really.
Maybe. Not really. It really doesn't add anything these days. It's not.
No. Somebody's going to go by doing some war driving. They're going to find you. Yeah.
Sure. Who does it secure you from? Not many people. not a lot of malicious actors, right?
People that wouldn't get past the next step anyways.
If you have a next step,
Yes.
right? Everything is by degrees. I guess my point is that, like, if you're out there doing voice of customer or requirements gathering, the knack there isn't necessarily evaluating their request at the get-go and deciding whether it's good or bad. It's just taking it in and really trying to understand what they're trying to get to. Because, like, yeah, you may come and be like, okay, so you've asked me to just, like, open all the ports on the firewall, but let's talk about why you need that, right? Like, what are you actually trying to achieve?
What is it you think you need?
Right. And having that conversation in a way that doesn't feel aggressive or accusatory to the other party is a skill. The same as taking service calls from frustrated, angry end users, or having a refined bullshit detector. Like, all of these things are soft skills that I think are highly underrated.
Well, and so that reminds me of one of my biggest pet peeves is don't bring to your engineers, be they a system or network or whatever, what you think the solution is. You bring the problem and what the end goal is. Let them come up with a solution, because it will almost certainly be better than what you as a non-technical user have envisioned to be your solution.
Provided that the person that you're talking about doesn't believe that they are non-technical. You know what I mean? You've got a lot of people in the world, and you've worked for some, and I've worked for some.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That absolutely believe that they are more technical than the people that they've hired to do the work.
And that's fine. In their particular field, they may be awesome. That doesn't mean they actually know what they want. Tell me what your end goal is. How do you want this to work? Who is trying to get to what? How is that supposed to look to them? I will build a solution that will make that happen. Don't come to me with a solution that you already have half baked in your head that is a convoluted, not going to work, or has fatal flaws in some other way solution.
I mean,
no, that
I don't mind if somebody comes with an idea for a solution, as long as they also come with what they're trying to achieve and they're not attached to their solution.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. They're all attached to their solution,
and their ego,
and they can't necessarily articulate what their goal is. They know some words that, when combined in their head, achieve their goal. I need a VPN to here. I need a VPN to the UK so I can watch my Netflix or what, just some goofy shit. I mean, whatever you want to come up with. No, what's your actual end goal, and we will come up with a way to solve that problem. What's your problem?
Right.
Solutioning for a problem is really it, and knowing, what do you want this to look like when we're finished? How do we know we're done? Right? When do we know we're done?
And not just that, you need to have like a 3-year so infrastructure as a whole, you need to have like a 3-year and 5-year plan. Where are you headed long term? So anything that you add on to works towards that goal, not against that goal.
Exactly right.
Without that long-term roadmap, even something trivial, some little problem you need to fix, and you just do the easy path, that may be working against other things that you're going to be doing in the not so distant future. Why set yourself up for failure in that regard?
Right. Well, and that roadmap's really, I mean, I think it's really hard to do. I think a lot of companies struggle with generating that roadmap.
And it's not that hard to do. That's the thing. but they just don't do it because they don't know. A lot of times, I don't think they understand that they need to do that. Every single executive at almost every single executive at almost every company has a roadmap in their mind of where that company is going to be in 5 years.
Sure.
Right. And a
But
lot
how
of them
that
have trouble
relates to
translating that
IT
into-
needs.
Yeah, translating that to an IT infrastructure need is very difficult. Which now you have to have some sort of executive in that on that
And that's
team
that's
that
not
can
their
make
job.
that translation.
I get it, but they need to verbalize that, articulate that to somebody that can translate that into where the technology needs to be to facilitate where they want the company to be.
And
Without
then stick with it.
communication,
And then stick with it, because when management changes their minds and goes, "Hey, what if we do this?" You don't throw in the towel and go, "Okay, yeah,
absolutely.
we can do that."
Well, that's why I always try and engineer everything to be modular and flexible to whatever extent that budget will allow.
Let's not even talk about budgets right now.
Well, yeah.
Budget. I mean, let's talk about budget, actually. Like, one of the
Yeah.
common directives for IT and for operations is, well, we'd like it to be cheaper, right? Like, or your budget is going to be fixed. How do you deal with that, right? Like, how do you deal with the statement of, we find that we're spending too much on operations. We'd really like to spend more on development and new product, but we don't want our operations budget to increase. How do you tackle that?
You need a CIO, CTO, somebody that actually understands the issues and can speak on your behalf. You are not going to be able to speak
Yeah,
in any way that's going to make that change.
Sure. No,
I will submit budgets to
Well, Chris, you may be
whatever I
good.
think I need to keep the operation going at the pace that I'm expected to keep the operation going. Right. So I'm going to say, this is what it's going to cost to do the things that you want to do. It doesn't matter that you don't want to spend the money. To me,
No, that's what
is
it takes.
irrelevant
Well,
what you want as far as spending the money. This is, you've
Okay.
tasked me to keep the lights on in this fashion. So I need to do these things, and here's what it's going to cost. So I submit that, and then I have to walk away, and then I'll be frustrated and mad and whatever when I have to trim budgets and whatever.
Well,
But they have to take the responsibility that, okay, I'm not allowed to replace this piece of hardware because it's $500,000. Okay, just know then that you don't have the latest greatest hardware, and we will have support issues because of it. Right? That thing is out. It's long in the tooth, and things are going to start falling off of it. And when things start falling off of it, you have unplanned outages, and the support contracts actually wind up costing more because it's an out-of-date piece of hardware or whatever. So I tell them what I need, regardless of whether they think they can pay for it or not. This is what we need.
Yeah. So
they stopped asking me to the party, so I don't get to go to that party anymore.
a common shared, not too recent now, boss of all of ours wanted me to, for my reviews, try to enumerate where I had saved money in the business and where I had cut costs. And I explained to him that my job is not to cut costs, not directly. It's to facilitate the business and provide the best, do the best job to facilitate the business doing what it needs to do. Cost is a concern. I would like to do the same job for as little as possible, but I'm not going to cut costs just for the sake of cutting costs. Not only is that not that my job, that is like the antithesis of my job. My job is to make sure everybody can do their job, accomplish the mission, if you will. It's not about saving money. I mean, we could cut back the internet connections at every site down to just tiny numbers. We can get just oh, every site everywhere, they only need just a home DSL connection. No, that would suck. Yeah, that would save costs.
But it would
That is-
directly impact the business as well.
It would directly impact the business.
Well, and so let's take that as a consideration. Say the business decides it wants to save costs by cutting back every internet connection to like a home DSL connection, right? I mean, for me, my response would be, that's fine. Here's what your development teams need to do to make that viable. Like all of your applications that are going to run over that connection now need to operate in this specific bandwidth.
Yes.
If you can do that, we can absolutely save that money. Now, what's it going to cost for your development teams to develop that solution? Oh, that's like 6 times the expense of what you're going to save.
Yeah,
Maybe we should focus
heavy
somewhere else.
dependency on cloud.
And that's also a thing that people like us, like me, need to be able to articulate to those higher ups is, okay, you can cut back the bandwidth at these sites and you can save a couple of $100 per site. This is like peanuts. It's nickels and dimes. Everybody's going to have a worse experience. They're going to hate life. Backups aren't going to run. People aren't going to be able to get to whatever systems when there's congestion. This is not worth it. And that's part of somebody like my job, is to be able to say how that is not a good idea. And I feel like too often we just kind of roll over and, oh, you want it cheaper? We can do cheaper.
Sure. This is the argument for like, well, right now you're running Cisco and Palo Alto, right? But, we're being told that we can get HP and SonicWall for 50% the cost, right? And like the feature set clearly are almost identical. Just look at the marketing.
Mm-hmm.
The Magic Quadrant says they're almost the same thing. Yeah, but then reality sets in, and I mean, Sonic Wall is nowhere near anything.
No.
Anybody should buy.
No, that's the difference between Fortinet and say Palo Alto, right? Because Fortinet, a lot of people swear Gartner says it's the best stuff ever, right? So they're right up there with Palo, according to Gartner. But
Palo is first in the market. Fortinet is a distant second. Third isn't even worth considering.
Right.
That's how big of a spread there is at the top of the market. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is.
And there's reasons why, because Gartner's looking at the marketing material as well. I don't know that they used to go back and they would used to talk to people that actually use the stuff. But
they do that. They do. So they're.
I don't think they talk to the right people anymore.
So what they do is
the Palos. The numbers don't add up because Fortinet's numbers are preload, Palo numbers are fully loaded. Right? I mean, so all the throughput numbers are with all their add-ons turned on, all the inspections and all that on a Palo. The throughput numbers on a FortiGate are with none of it turned on. No SSL inspection, none of that stuff is turned on. So
their numbers are
the same numbers. Sorry, Brian, I keep stepping on you. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. Yeah, Fortinet numbers are generally like best case scenario. Palos are definitely they're always like worst case scenario. So like say a PA220, it's rated for like 560 megs with basically everything turned on. You can push a gig easy. They're very conservatively measured, or very conservatively rated. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Whereas Fortinet, you will never actually see their numbers that they quote. It's just unless you basically turn everything off and
And then that gets us back into the situation that you guys were mentioning, whereas these executives are like, well, they're reading a guy we all know used to call it the seat pocket material, and say, oh, this stuff is great. Look at the numbers. Let's go, and they're half the cost. Well,
half the cost is even entirely true anymore.
No, not.
I mean, especially with like Apollo 400 series stuff,
buying the add-ons and all that. So,
right,
yeah, and Fortinet stuff isn't if customer couldn't afford Apollo, and they insisted that there's no way they were going to go Apollo. We can do Fortinet, but there's like caveats, and it's not going to be everything that the marketing material says it's going to be. It's just I don't hate Fortinet despite all kinds of goofiness that I've run into.
They have their place. In my opinion,
they have their place.
Yeah, but
like SMB, it would be almost impossible to justify Apollos.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
But you could do a pretty solid job with Fortinets.
The 460 series or the 400 series Palos for SMB are right back down into the price range where whatever, and the throughput and the numbers look good on those things. So
yeah, well, one of the problems with any of the higher end firewalls, next gen firewalls, is who's going to manage it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a problem with both Palo and Fortinet. I don't know which is really easier. I would maybe tend towards Palo, but at the same time, Fortinet is pretty easy. Either of them are pretty easy just to get a very simple config out there. But like long-term management and doing it well, either of them are going to take somebody that's knowledgeable to actually be able to do that.
Well,
and for
you're talking about the third rail of IT cost right there, right? Like the deadly third rail, which is staff. Nobody wants to spend money on staff.
No,
for whatever reason, right?
Well, actually, staff is the single most expensive piece of any business. Right?
Sure.
Except for your business.
I mean,
you guys never walk after anyone.
What's that?
You guys are so understaffed. It's not even. It's past the point of being funny anymore. Yeah. It's just sad now.
But let's take this example of, let's say you buy a piece of equipment that's going to require you to buy. Let's say you spend $80,000 on that piece of equipment, but that piece of equipment is going to require you to spend another $80,000 in services and maybe $60,000 in consulting. But if you buy a different piece of equipment for $100,000, you can hire somebody for $70,000 to manage the equipment and have them in-house, right? Most organizations, despite the fact that dollar for dollar, you are cheaper with the second solution, will not go with the second solution because it involves payroll. Because payroll is like, it's the third rail. What do you mean we're going to increase payroll? We can't do that. Like the dollars are the same.
It increases headcount. Yeah.
Right. And money spends the same.
Not always.
OpEx versus CapEx.
Yeah. Not always.
But like, even in that scenario, your OpEx is actually cheaper, which like, hey, you can depreciate CapEx, so it's better to have your balance on the CapEx side. OpEx, the problem is that companies don't even think of headcount as OpEx. They think of it as a separate category, which
needs to be minimized at all cost. Yeah.
It's a standard management theory that comes from the fights with unions from the 80s. Like, we have to decrease headcount because headcount is killing us. Headcount isn't killing us anymore as businesses. But like, that's the management theory that has prevailed for 40 years. Right now, I would argue that lack of headcount is what's killing us. Companies that invest in people today do better. Google spends tons of money on people. They hire people when they don't need them because they're talented people. And Google makes tons of money.
Well, the funny thing is, a lot of the companies that refuse to spend money on employees will throw gobs of money at consultants.
Yep.
Like obscene numbers. I mean, this doesn't apply to you, Rick.
Really?
No, there are a lot of companies where they'll run like skeleton crew and then do everything with consultants at $400 an hour. Like, what? You've got like 100 consultants on staff. Well, not on staff, but this doesn't make sense. How is this better or more efficient?
Well, I know in the 90s, not so much in the 90s, but there were times during the decade, the 2000s, the early 2000s, mid 2000s, and even into the 2010s.
Do you want me to share that?
They,
Chris?
Yep.
Nope.
Oh, wrong one. Here we go. I got it for you. Give me just a second. There it is. That's the Gartner Magic Quadrant for firewalls for.
All right. God, how is
Checkpoint
still on that
I was
list?
going to say Checkpoint.
How is Cisco on that list?
Keep in mind, this is 2019.
Does Cisco even have
viable... So firepower was dog shit in 2019. It's still dog shit in 2022.
That's the ASAXs, right? Is that what they're talking about?
Well, so there's ASAs running basically just ASA code. So that's the old school port and protocol. That's what they dragged me kicking and screaming into Palo territory from.
So just to be clear, like, this is a Gartner Magic Quadrant. Some of this is about how much press they can get. Like, why is Microsoft on the next gen firewall list? Like,
it doesn't make sense.
They're not a niche player. They're not a player. Like, yeah, they've got a product probably that does something, but yeah.
Well, in Juniper, that's not really a next gen firewall. WatchGuard is, SonicWall is, Barracuda is. I don't know who the fuck Hillstone Networks is. Storm Shield?
Hey, now you got some interesting things. I'll post this in the comments, so that people can go check this out and amuse themselves by checking out what Gartner evaluated in 2019.
In 2019, YY was still a company that people might have been able to trust. But I think it's just ridiculous that they're even on a firewall quadrant. I do Palo or Fortinet. I would not do anybody else on that list. Not for a next gen firewall. It's just not. They're not. Really, not even Juniper
or Checkpoint.
Their offering isn't really a next gen firewall.
No,
it's port and protocol. It's like it's a router with ACLs. They don't have like a next gen firewall product, unless I'm missing something. I mean, admittedly, I haven't looked at it in like a minute, but I don't think they really have anything.
All right.
Wow. Oh, look.
What do you got there?
Is Das.
That is my birthday present this year.
Ah.
This is fancy. A night. It's from the 40s, I'm thinking, because it's a pretty sweet little radio. I need to change the capacitors in it because it's got a nasty hum. Can't hear anything but the hum. So,
yeah,
my wife loves me.
Oh, good.
Clearly.
Clearly.
I've met her. She's a nice lady.
I mean,
I don't.
yes.
Um,
What
I think she's
specifically is that?
What's that?
The radio. What specifically is the radio?
It's an AM broadcast radio, plus it has shortwave on it. So
Okay.
it goes from. Let me move the dial.
Well, I mean, what's it called? Does it have a brand, a model?
Yeah, night. I'm sorry.
Okay.
K9 GHT. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it goes 1.8 to 6 megahertz. So kind of the shortwave band ish from back in the day. I'm thinking it's mid 40s. I'm thinking.
Okay.
It'll be fun. So I get to tear this one apart and recap it and make sure the tubes are good, and I'll be able to listen to WTMJ or WISN or whatever the hell I want. I'll set it over here on the.
Nice. See that warm
It's a
glow.
sexy little radio. I like it.
Listen
Very
to some
cool.
belling.
What?
Listen to some belling.
Listen, yeah. Standing up for Milwaukee.
Yeah. Now that I don't drive anymore, I don't listen to any radio.
No, I try to go down to the office once a week or so. But I usually forget to turn on the radio in the morning. I get down close and I go, oh yeah, and then I'm too far from Milwaukee to really hear the radio station very well. And in the wintertime, by the time I get in the car to go home, it's already dark and they've turned the power down on the radio, so I can't hear anything. So.
Oh yeah, that's especially annoying. Oh hey, I can hear a station from Tennessee, but I can't hear the one that's 60 miles away.
Right. But which is weird because I understand why they do it, because there's no clear channel.
Oh yeah, it makes sense, but it's weird because that like hour gap, it means they're still transmitting strong.
Yeah.
and yeah, they're stomping over everything local.
Yeah. But whatever. I think there's still maybe 2 or 3 clear channel stations out there.
Okay.
Maybe I think like 820 in Texas and KOA in Denver, I think, is a clear channel station, and in KFI in Los Angeles, I think they're clear channel, but I'm not sure. What do I mean by clear channel? Not the company, but they own the frequency.
Yeah.
So, but I could be wrong too, because I haven't looked into that in forever. Maybe I should look it up and see one of these days. Oh, there's Chris. He's going to work.
I mean, research. It is one of the things that I enjoy doing. That is how I end up in the
in the useless trivia genre. That
I mean, is any trivia ever useful?
I don't believe
really
in
like
useless
that's why it's called
Yeah.
trivia, right?
Right.
There's no useless knowledge. There's less. I shouldn't even
there's
say
a
less
level of-
useful.
There's a level of pertinence that might be
Yes.
applied to it, but
Yes. And some is definitely less pertinent or will never be accessed.
Right.
But it's still interesting knowledge.
So I was cleaning out the bins in the basement, and I found my
A slinky.
steel slinkies.
I got a
These
steel
things are-
slinky for my birthday a few years back.
Yeah, these
What a
things are
great gift!
awesome. Actually, I got a couple of them. I'm going to make some radio antennas out of.
Okay.
Because you get so much. I mean, I don't know how many, but there's
You can run outside and twang it to get some reverb.
wow. There's more than 100 feet of wire here.
Yeah.
So hard telling what will come up resonant on that thing. So
Yeah. Well, there's one way to find out.
Yep. Gonna go play. When it warms up and the snow melts, we'll go outside and play.
Yep. So
Well,
for things that happened over the last week, it used to be Google Apps for Domains. I don't know what the hell they call it now, Google Workspace. So does anybody else have a grandfathered in Google Apps for Domain account?
I do not, but I heard about this.
I do
Yes.
pay for Google. I pay for my domain in Google, in the Google space. I don't know if it's apps for domains or I'd have to look it up.
Well, so you pay, so you didn't get in on the when it was like beta, you could get in for free.
Well, I've been doing this for years, so.
Well, yeah, it's been like over a decade now.
Oh, yeah. Let me.
I think they ended it in 2012, so it was.
It's been a nice gravy train.
2009, 2000, maybe 2008. I don't even remember. Yeah, as soon as like it was in beta and you could sign up for it, I signed up. And man, I've got like a dozen domains on there, but I only have a handful of users. But it's basically all the accounts are going to be converting to paid plans. So I'm gonna have to end up paying like at a minimum $6 a month for each of my family members that are currently on my account.
What?
Which is kind of annoying, but whatever.
How much is it? You said 6?
It's like $6, between 6 and 18 per user per month.
Yeah.
I'm paying $5 a month per user.
Okay.
Yeah, fine, whatever.
You've got them better negotiating skills.
Maybe.
I don't know, but it's just I don't know what I have, to be honest with you. Brian, I'd probably have to just get on a Zoom call and share my screen and let you look at it. Because I just bought it because I just log into the Google admin page. I'm paying $12 a month. So $6 a user. So it went up because it used to be $5.
Okay.
Oh, Google Workspace admin cog. So I'm on Google Workspace.
Yeah, that's the current name for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
When I initially signed up, it was Google Apps for Domains. Yeah, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 users right now. So it's like my kids, my ex-wife, my brothers, a couple of admin accounts. But I'm going to have to start narrowing that. Because, like, my NVR, I gave an account because it was free. Sure. But now I'm going to need to rework how that works. Because I'm not going to spend $6 a month for my NVR to be able to email. I mean, I can anyways, but...
Yeah, I mean, while they're changing that stuff, like you still do like service accounts and no license accounting and whatnot. There's ways to manage all that stuff.
Yeah, I was just being lazy.
Uh-huh. No, I don't blame you. It was free.
Well, yeah, it was free. And so I had a grandfathered one that I think I'm good up to like 100 users. Because originally you got like 20 or 25 or something. It was like something like that. And you could request increases and it was like no cost. And yeah, like I requested a couple of times and they increased it every time. But yeah, finally that gravy train is ending. And I don't even use a lot of space.
Yeah.
Well,
you may find that that space is more valuable than you think. Like if you were to go down to the free level, you would not have much space. Like they don't give a lot.
Well, there will be no free level anymore.
I mean,
not with your own domain.
No, correct.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting choice for Google. Like, I wonder how many people they shove off the service just because they're irritated.
Well, and already, I mean, like, anybody on the free doesn't get any support or... Yeah, so I have 18 domains pointing at my Google Workspace right now.
18?
18.
Do you have enough?
Well, I have more than that. I just didn't bother pointing a lot of them that direction.
Well, that's awesome.
I probably own 30 maybe domains.
domains do you own?
How many domains do I own? 4 or 5. Not that many. I'd have to look. I'd
I
have
think
to
I own
log in.
3.
Afraid.org, which has been my DNS provider for a couple of decades.
Yeah, I've been using Namecheap for the last, 15 years.
I just switched off of Namecheap. And I actually went to Google because the product is
okay.
easy and relatively cheap.
Afraid.org is free, but I give them stuff. I donate a couple $100 a year to keep, to go ahead and keep it, and it's cheap. If I give them a couple $100, it's cheap. So 1, 2, 3. Well, right now I'm down to 3 domains. Maybe I should quit giving them a couple $100 and give them 50. But
I like that. That's the economics of that. I should stop giving them a couple of $100 and move to 50, because I went from 4 to 3.
well, I used to have a lot, because when I first
Yeah,
started using them a long time ago, I had Corget.com, .net, .org, and I hosted websites for the YMCA. What do they call it? Adventure guides. So I had that.
Sure.
I've got 2 Radio Club domains that, well, one of them that's expired. I've only got one of them now. So, I mean, I used to have probably close to 10 of them, and whatever. So I'm thinking about redoing my ISP situation, going back to Spectrum Business, because I am sick and tired of losing my internet connection at the whim of the weather and whatever.
Who's your
I have
provider
38
right now?
domains.
Jeez. Right now, it's Spectrum Home.
Okay.
And I'm at 200 meg, which is typically fast enough for me. I mean, I don't need...
Get the T-Mobile home internet. I'll set up SD-WAN for you.
T-Mobile home internet.
It's $50 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're probably in a better spot than I am for a 5G.
Actually, I'm not.
I bet you are.
Not down here in the basement, I'm not.
Well, not down in the basement, but you can put it anywhere and run a cable.
Nice.
Well, anywhere you have power. I wish they would make one that was like PoE powered, but that'd be nice.
Actually, I have power in the attic.
No, well, there you go.
Does it have temperature parameters that they need to stay in that are, I mean, can it be in below 0 weather and in
I don't know. Mine's down in my unclimate controlled basement, and there isn't a problem yet. So
okay. Well, cold isn't nearly as bad as heat. So if it's up in the attic, it might that might be a problem.
Can have
The only
certain
time
air
I've seen
conditioning in your
electronics
attic.
suffer in the cold was our tape library in. Yeah, Chris knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, don't make me talk about bad HVAC. For
oh my God, the damper
IT
stuck
facilities.
open. Damper stuck open, and all that cold air came in from outside and froze the tape library.
oh, that's fun.
Yeah, that was
Turns
fun.
out that the
a couple of times.
the lubrication that they put into those systems does not work when it is below freezing.
It's that white lithium,
turns to mud.
lithium grease stuff. It'll get hard.
Yeah.
I mean, that stuff lasts forever, but it does freeze solid, and motors don't work.
That's awesome. That was pretty funny.
I mean, that happened more than once.
Are you saying that I should get that as a backup internet, Brian?
Yes, and I can set that all up for you, because that's how I have mine set up.
Actually, I don't want you to set all that up with me. I think I want you to stand over my shoulder and tell me what to do to set.
Oh, okay, yeah, that works too.
Yeah. So
yeah, I'll just invoice
maybe I'll
you for
look
it.
into that and whatever. Because last week Wednesday, I actually I got up, came down here. Well, the internet had been bad last week Tuesday, slow.
Yeah,
Tuesday night it
Spectrum
was
had an
horrible.
outage last week. What day was that?
It was Tuesday.
Hold on. Was it?
Yep.
Sounds about
Because
right.
during the day, I noticed that speeds were rough. I kept getting buffering on calls, which in of itself wasn't horrible because calls, meetings.
Yeah.
But by the time it got to 9 o'clock at night, my upload speed or download speed was 0.56.
Oof.
Right, so I
it was
modem
Tuesday.
speed.
Yeah.
So and I got up Wednesday morning and it was still crap. So I wound up having to drive to the office. And of course, by the time I got to the office, everything lit back up.
Yeah. So I finally fixed my my smoke ping at home. Yeah. So I'm sending 8888 over my cable connection, and then 8844 over my 5G.
Oh,
So
there you go.
on, yeah, we had some outages. No, that was Thursday.
Really? For me, it was Tuesday night into Wednesday morning.
Oh, I probably didn't have smoke ping fixed yet because it was going weird. So it's been up and down. Obviously, I have big gaps in my graphs. Because unless I'm down, I don't really pay attention to it. So, yeah. But, yeah, this is what my 5G looks like. Latency is a little bit high, but jitter and packet loss, man, it looks better than my cable connection does.
Yeah, it does. Damn. Wow.
So, yeah.
Maybe I should build a smoke ping box. Actually, I think I'll build a Libre box and then.
Well, yeah. So I basically tacked on Libre onto smoke ping.
Yeah.
So, or smoke ping onto Libre.
I love that Libre at work. One of the best tools I have.
Well, especially at home. I mean, it does everything I need to do. It'd be nice to have something a little higher speed, but I mean, whatever. It does everything I need to do, and it's free. So,
yeah. Actually, you should, because of the VPN tunnel between you and me, you should be watching my shit for me.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can. It's not really a big deal.
Chris, I might have a PA220 available here pretty soon. In the next
Okay.
Oh, you're gonna upgrade?
Well, that's the plan. They were on.
Oh yeah. You got one on the way, don't you? Yeah, I need to get a quote on a pair of 440s.
Are you gonna get 440s or 460s?
440s.
Oh, because
they're expensive.
I got quoted the 460s. That's what was on the quote.
For your lab?
Yep.
Oh, you.
I know. Yeah.
Well, I don't have somebody paying for my stuff. I'm paying out of pocket here, so.
I mean,
me
you do
over
have somebody paying
$1,000 for a pair of firewalls is. Well, yeah. I mean,
it's you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm my own sugar daddy.
Yeah. Well, people ask me why I keep writing it out.
I should have gone straight to the Palo page. Palo's got the Gartner Magic Quadrant for 2021.
Oh, do they?
Just right there. Yeah. Let's see here.
It's looking like these days.
Oh, geez, you're right. 440s. My bad.
Oh. Yeah, for a lab, that's all you need. That's seriously.
Believe it or not, Checkpoint is still on there.
No way.
Didn't
Symantec buy them? Wasn't that a Symantec thing for a while?
Bought them.
Let's see here. Microsoft is still on the list.
What is
that doesn't even make sense. They don't.
Firewall.
Oh, they've got some stuff in Azure.
ISA is gone.
Yeah, some stuff in Azure doesn't count as a next-gen firewall.
I mean, no, it doesn't. Yeah, let's Let's play this game again.
Christ, I'd build an untangle box before I do anything with a Microsoft firewall.
Not as easy to read because I'm not signing up for the thing right now, but there you go. Only 3 in the Magic Quadrant.
Checkpoint.
I mean, I'm a little blown away that like Barracuda is still in the running. AWS has got a product.
I'm stunned that YY is still in there.
Yeah, like Versa, they have a SD-WAN product that has a built-in firewall, but they don't have like a, at least not that I know of, they don't have a standalone next-gen firewall platform. And HP, they don't.
Yeah. I mean, some of this is about market share, right? And marketing.
Sangfor? Who the hell is Sangfor? Wow, I guess I really haven't been paying attention to all these
Who are all these
places.
I'll
Cato Networks?
I'll provide these links so you can check these out. You know, little fun reading for you.
The one that boggles my mind the most is that YY one where they're a known Chinese hacker company.
I mean,
remember the watches and the network interfaces that the government said, no, you know what? You put those away. Yeah. And they got all kinds of trouble over that stuff. And because they were building spy code into the devices that they were selling to U.S. consumers.
Well, if you ever wanted to know whether you can pay to have ranking in Gartner Magic Quadrant, now you know.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep. I mean, that's not to say that this is like an entirely useless thing to view. It's just important to note that like you got to take it with a grain of salt, right? There are some things that are reasonable, like based on our estimation, are reasonably correct, and other things that are just like completely out of left field. But like, Weiwei isn't, you know.
Well, it makes me question the things that I think I know, because it's like,
right? Like, is there something better? Is Alibaba Cloud really better than AWS? I don't know. Maybe. Like, apparently, according to the Gartner thing, if Cisco had a little bit better completeness of vision, they would be better than Checkpoint. Right?
Yeah, but their product it's dog shit right now. It's garbage.
Not according to this. According to this, from an execution standpoint, like they're doing great at
that's their biggest problem. They have no execution.
I know. They've
had like 2 parallel code bases that have been going for the last decade. Nothing works right. I don't even think you can stay on the old ASA code anymore and just run an ASA. But if you could, I mean, you'd probably be fine, but you're still like port and protocol. That's not a next gen firewall. That's old school.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tack on IPS, which
handwritten
helps.
Policies. Yeah. Not even policies. It's handwritten ACLs. That's it.
And that's all you need. But I don't think that's all you need these days.
No,
you really do need comprehensive threat detection. You're not going to, well.
I just looked up pricing for the Azure firewall. It's $1.75 per deployment hour, right? And then 1.6 cents per gigabyte processed. So you're going to spend $15,000+ a year, which isn't horrible actually for a firewall.
I mean,
plus traffic.
1.6 per processing for traffic. I don't know what their data rates are for traffic going in and out. through the firewall.
Well, it's probably been a while, but do you remember what the Azure firewall looks like?
No.
No, it's basically not. It's port and protocol. It's
Is that
like
it? Is it
AWS security profile or security policy or
Yep.
what the hell they call it now?
So
Damn
it's it's ISA server that they've moved into Azure, basically. is what you're
Not
telling
even that. I mean,
It runs
it's
about
super
that slow.
simplistic. There's
It runs
there's
about
nothing to
slowly.
it.
I mean, it might be an ISIS server that they ported into Azure. Like, think about the deployment
Maybe.
times, Brian.
Oh God! Oh, making any changes to their VPN gateways? That was the bane of my existence.
At
Good.
at the old
Yeah,
place?
because it was really weird because there was some things you could only do through the web interface, and there's some things you could only do through PowerShell. And the PowerShell ones were fun because you'd have this long command you'd have to run. You'd hit enter, and it would just sit there silently for like 45 minutes, no feedback whatsoever. Yeah, I'm working on stuff. No, it doesn't give you any kind of feedback that it's actually working. You just hit enter, go get lunch, come back, and maybe it'll be done. It's horrible.
Interesting.
And the fact that it was just because you couldn't deploy everything from at least then when I was actively doing it, you couldn't deploy everything from PowerShell. There were like parts you had to do from the web interface, like before you even started. Then you could do PowerShell and do the rest of the deployment, and then you'd have to go back in the web GUI and like clean a couple of things up and like finish it up. So you couldn't even like do a fully automated deployment of it. I'm not sure why. I'm assuming they've changed that in the intervening 2.5, 3 years. But
don't assume that, because you guys know how Exchange works up in the cloud and on-prem, where the ECP, it doesn't do it all. You have to be you have to do PowerShell, and especially if you're in a hybrid environment, you have to do a bunch of, just to create a user, you have to do a bunch of PowerShell shit and then go finish it up in the portals.
And I'm fine with PowerShell, but make it so you can do everything from PowerShell. Make that the authoritative way to do things. And if there's ways to do things from the GUI, from the web interface, that's fine. But that should be like a bonus for like whatever that is maybe easier for some people. But why would there be things that you can do from the web interface and not be able to do from PowerShell? That's stupid.
The web interface should be able to convert it into PowerShell and run it on the back end. You would think that they would do something like that.
That was
doing that for years with their phone systems.
That's one of the things I liked about GCP is it would actually show you what commands it was running, and you could literally copy and paste that.
Yeah,
and run it manually. So I think GCP was GCP was shell first, but everything I think everything you could run from the web interface as well. But it's basically just a pretty face on it running shell commands on the back end, which is fine, especially since it showed you what it was actually running. That was super useful when you were trying to write scripts to do things, because you could just some random thing that you wanted to automate. You could be like, "Oh, let's just see what it wants to do this task," and I'll just walk through it in the GUI, and now I know exactly how to write the script. That makes it so easy. At least gives you a starting point, and you can hop off from there.
Right.
Fucking computers.
Right? Why do we do this again? Oh wait, it's
because
fun.
it pays the bills, buddy.
It pays bills.
Yes, it does. And honest to God, I still have a passion for the technology. It's just
me too.
It's not as fun as it used to be, but I still have a passion for the technology.
If I won the lottery, I'd still do it.
I would.
Unless it was like a lot of money.
Well, I would still do it for the right company in the right place, and for the amount of time that I'm ready to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, probably for some little nonprofit somewhere.
Yeah.
Sure.
Where you can just be the jack of all trades and just kind of
Yep.
putz around and
Sure. I'm going to be gone for a month on vacation.
get everything done. Yeah.
Right. Well, on that note, let's wrap it up for tonight. Before we go, though, I just want to let you know that in the last 2 months, there have been 4,393 CVs published. So, you know.
Wow.
Patch your stuff.
In fact, January, that number is from Friday. So
WTK, if you're still watching, patch your stuff.
So Friday, there were 1,973 CVs for January, which was already ahead of 2021. So
did you
patch your stuff?
We kind of came in hot this year, so.
Did you see? And just one last thing, and let me. Where is? I actually had to send this to our security team because they had no idea. A 12-year-old Linux vulnerability.
Oh, yeah.
I'll put it in there.
Oh.
Been in the wild for 12 years.
Oh, people knew about it.
I'm sure of that. I am sure of that. So yeah, there was exciting. So, and it's according to the article, if you should be in good shape if you just go ahead and yum or apt or whatever and get your Linux machines updated.
Yep.
So I thought that was pretty funny, given the environment that I'm in, where I have about 180 Ubuntu servers that are running 16 something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty old.
Yep. So.
All right.
Because 16 is a long term, correct?
Yep.
But you're probably past the end.
It's still going to be supported, I think, till 2026 or something like that. But I'd like to get on 20 something or another.
Yeah.
What is this? Yes,
Yes,
sir,
he
I
does.
sure do. W9RIX is the call sign. You can see in the background here.
What is that? W9?
Yeah, RIX. Yep. You can see my amplifier back there, but and my desk is a mess over there, so I'm not going to show it off right now. But next week I'll clean up and we can do a quick shack tour. So
yeah. You spelt it wrong, Chris.
No, I'm trying to make it fun.
Ah.
It's like writing numbers on a bathroom wall.
KB9YDG. I didn't even know you had your license.
What is it? YDG? I recognize that call, actually.
All right. Well, now you can hit WTK up on your ham radio. I expect to hear back next week how it went.
440.200, 127.3 for a PL.
And I thought we were geeky before.
Is there, right? Yeah. So, well, shameful.
Yeah. Travesty.
I've been trying to. Thanks, Aurora. Appreciate that. Yeah. I've been trying to get Brian to get his license for going on 10 years. At least it's in the best way. Yeah, thank you. And Oh, Chris, who are you calling in there?
Call them like I hang out with.
Yeah.
These are my people.
So, yep.
All
Love you
right.
guys.
Yep.
Have a good one.
Time to wrap it up.
Thanks for hopping on, Rick.
Yeah, no
Yep.
worries. Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it. And
Absolutely.
hopefully I'll be around next week.
Sweet.
Yeah. I'd hope so.
Yeah, the alternative isn't really appealing. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well,
All right.
Have a good evening.
Yep.
All right. Bye.
All right. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone. We will see you next week. Probably same bat time, same bat channel. And yeah. Have a good week. Don't break anything. Bye.
we now return the internet to its normal internet use.
Yes.
Go surf.